I was lucky enough to meet Nora, the woman who'd become my wife, about 2 years ago. Our love story was nothing short of magical. She got flowers almost daily. We went out on dates all the time and exchanged gifts that showed just how much we cared for each other. Before long, it hit me. She was the one. Summoning all my courage, I proposed. To my absolute delight, she said yes, and soon we tied the knot. Back then, life was stable. I had a solid job at a reputable company, a car, a cozy apartment, and a decent paycheck. Nora, however, came from a humble background and worked as a vendor at the local market. She didn't have a formal education, but her family made up for it with their warmth and kindness. Her parents treated me as though I was their own son, which meant the world to me. Life wasn't without its challenges. I lost my parents in a heartbreaking car accident when I was young, and it was my grandparents who raised me. They were wonderful people who taught me strong values and ensured I had a good education. Thanks to them, I grew into someone I could be proud of. After Nora and I got married, our son, Louis, was born. I can't even describe the joy I felt. It was like my dream of having a happy family had finally come true. I adored both Nora and Louis more than anything. I always went out of my way to make them feel special, whether it was through little surprises, heartfelt gestures, or Nora's favorite flowers. As for other women, I never even glanced their way. Nora was my everything. When Louis turned 4, we decided to leave him with Nora's parents and go on vacation to Spain. But oh, children! As a funny surprise, Louis rummaged through our suitcase, found our documents, and made a note on my passport. We were depressed. We didn't have enough time to clean up. Nora, not wanting to go alone, invited her friend Kathleen to join her. I didn't mind, as long as she could relax and have fun. I was happy. Besides, by staying at home, I could make the most of my time with Louis and visit my relatives, who had a charming country house. 11 days later, Nora and Kathleen returned from their trip. Louis and I couldn't contain our excitement. We were thrilled to have her back. Life slipped seamlessly back into its rhythm, and we carried on, happy as ever. Nora threw herself into work, juggling her job, taking care of Louis, and managing the household like a pro. On the surface, everything seemed fine, but deep down, I couldn't shake the feeling that her mind was elsewhere. She was glued to her phone, almost obsessively, scrolling through messages and emails as if the screen held secrets she couldn't bear to let go of. Even Louis started to get less of her attention, which broke my heart. What used to be rare disagreements between us turned into frequent heated arguments, all because of that phone. At first, I tried to brush it off, but just 2 months after our vacation, it became impossible to ignore. One day, when Nora was in the shower, her phone started ringing nonstop. Annoyed, I grabbed it, intending to hand it to her, but then I looked at the screen, and that's when my world turned upside down. The last message was from someone I didn't know, and curiosity got the better of me. When I read her correspondence with the nephew of the owner of the hotel where she stayed in Spain, my stomach turned. It turns out that while I was planning our vacation, she began a romantic relationship with this man, a betrayal that I never expected. At first, anger consumed me, but when I confronted Nora, the fury melted into something worse: disbelief. She admitted everything. She told me she'd fallen for this man, who also happened to be the hotel manager, and that he'd convinced her to stay with him. She claimed she'd never felt anything so intense before, and that she was tired of our marriage, tired of the love I gave her. She said this was what real love felt like. I was shattered. In my desperation to understand, I turned to Kathleen. I couldn't wrap my head around how she'd stood by while Nora had this affair. Why hadn't she said something? Her response left me speechless. Nora deserves to be happy, no matter who that's with. Her words hit me like a punch to the gut. Was I the only one who thought this was wrong? Nora left a few days later. I was overwhelmed with emotions: anger, heartbreak, confusion. But one thing was clear: I wasn't going to let her take Louis away from me. She wasn't going to ruin his life because of her choice. It took a grueling year of painful negotiations to finalize the divorce, a year in which I relived every betrayal and questioned everything I thought I knew about our life together. I still couldn't believe it. The woman I'd loved so deeply, the person I'd built a life with, had walked away to find her happiness in someone else's arms. Nora's decision to embrace religion hit me like a bolt from the blue. I couldn't believe how my once happy, balanced wife could have changed so much. Her parents were shocked. They were horrified, unable to understand what made their daughter make such a fateful decision. The divorce itself was a long, painful process that pushed both our families to the limit. In the end, Louis decided to stay with me, while Nora left to start a new life with her lover. It took me a long time to process everything. Even now, I can't fully understand how Nora could walk away from it all. Our marriage, our son, her parents, her home, and even her faith, in what felt like the blink of an eye. Accepting that reality wasn't just difficult, it was devastating. Thankfully, her parents stepped in to help me with Louis. They became my rock, offering unwavering support as I adjusted to life as a single parent. But their relationship with Nora was shattered. Her father, especially, completely disowned her, refusing to even mention her name. Nora occasionally calls her mother to ask about Louis, but it's clear their bond is fractured beyond repair. As the years passed, I threw myself into my career and eventually climbed the ladder to a higher position. Louis, too, started to adjust. He stopped asking about his mother as much, though I knew he missed her terribly at first. Recently, Nora's mom shared with me the unexpected news that Nora had given birth to her partner's son. But from what I've heard, her new life doesn't look like the fairy tale she imagined. She confessed to her mother that she regrets some of the decisions she made, although she still does not want to return to the life she left behind. This entire experience has been a profound lesson for me. I've come to realize that love can be unpredictable and, at times, inexplicably one-sided. No matter how much I loved Nora, no matter how much I gave, it wasn't enough to keep her. Now, I've fully embraced my role as both mother and father to Louis. I'm determined to give him all the love, stability, and support he needs. It's not the life I once dreamed of, but it's a life I've come to accept. And in its own way, it's a good one, because at the end of the day, my son is my priority, and being there for him is what truly matters.